Hello guys, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Abimbola. So in today's tutorial we'll be learning how to sew this trendy overburst corset. If you are yet to see the drafting tutorial, please check the previous video, the one posted before this one. You can check my channel and you will see it there. I'll also drop the link in my description below. So previously we already transferred our pattern to fabric. So next I'll cut out wording which will be used for the bust area for the overbust corset. So for this wording, we are just cutting the wording for the center front and also the mid front pattern. For the side front, we wouldn't be cutting out any wording for the side front, and this wording will be used on the lining alone. In this tutorial I used it on the lining alone. You can as well use it on both the lining and the main fabric, but for tutorial purpose I used it on the lining alone. So go ahead, cut your wording, and this is it, the middle front and the center front. So these are my pattern piece for the lining. I'd already joined the main fabric, so I'll just take you through the process of how I joined the main fabric. The same way I joined the main fabric is also the same way I would join the lining. So the first thing I did was to notch my fabric, the bust point, the under bust, and the waistline. So I'll go ahead now and I'll press my wording on my lining like so. So I've done that already, and for the main fabric I already joined it, and this is what we have. So I'll take us through the process of how I achieved this. The same way I joined this is the same way I will join the lining. And this is what the inside of my main fabric looks like. So let's go ahead and join our lining. I'll match up my notches, my bust point, under bust, the waist, and then I'll proceed to joining them together. I'll go ahead now and join my center front to the mid front. So I pinned it down and joined them together. So this is what I have. The mid front and the center front has been joined together. So next I will add up the side front, and this is my side front pattern. I'll match up my notches and also pin them down and join the mid front to the side front. So this is what I have after joining, and you will see that the side front doesn't have the wording. I'll take it to the ironing table now and press open, and this is what I have after pressing my lining fabric, and this is the inside. So for this particular overbust corset, we'll be doing the bust caging technique on the lining. So I'll go ahead now. First of all, I will mark out my bust point. I'll mark the straight line. That is the most important part when doing your bust caging. So I'll mark out my bust point, and then I'll also rule out other lines which I will follow to do my bust caging. So I'll go ahead now and mark out my line one after the other, and this is it. And I'll also go ahead and mark. These are the lines I would sew my bonings on. That's the regling bones. So the first part I actually sewed the bone on is the bust point, and I also went ahead to sew my boning on other lines. So I'm gradually coming to the end of sewing my bones, and the next thing I will do now is to press. So here we have the hemming gum and fiber, which I'll be making use of. The fiber will be used to flesh up our bones the bust cage that was done on the lining. Yeah, this is just to flesh it up. And so I'll go ahead and cut out what I actually need for that particular area. Now I'll cut out my hemming gum, and I'll place it on my bust cage part and place my fiber on it. So just the way I'm placing it, like so, I would leave out the sewing allowance at the top, and also my fiber won't get to the side of the side front. Yes, you know, the bust caging actually didn't get to the side front, so my fiber also wouldn't get there. It would just cover up the bust cage part. So I went ahead to place it, and then I press, and also trim out the excesses around it, and then I'll and press till I get and achieve what exactly that I want. So yes, I made use of 2 layers of this fiber, so that is why you see me adding extra hemming gum, and then I placed another fiber on it, and then I also press. So press, trim out your excesses, and then press your fiber properly. Make sure that you press it and it is flat. Then turn it over and also press from the other side like so. So after so much pressing, this is what I have. So for the main fabric, our regular bones will be placed on it. Like you can see, I've done the first one. So I'll go ahead and cut out 2 inches strip. Then I'll sew my regular bone straight on the strip, and then I'll show us how to go about this. Yeah, so sew your bones to the very end, and then the next thing you do is to wrap the bones around the fabric. Just look at how I'll place it on the fabric like so. Then I will sew on the other side, the right side first, and once I'm done doing that, ensure you also stretch out your bust area when you get to that particular point, so as to avoid folds, so you don't have folds on that part. So sew your bones carefully on your main fabric like so. Take your time and carefully sew through the main fabric like so. So once I'm done sewing this, I'll go ahead now and trim off the excesses I have on the other part. So once this is done, we can then go ahead to sew the other side of the regular bones. And now I will use that to cover up the part that was cut out, and then take it to the sewing machine and also sew it through, just the same way we sew the other side. I would sew through. I'm done sewing, and this is what it looks like. Look at the bust area. You can see that there are no folds around that part. So I'll also be placing a regling bone at the center of my main fabric. So you can actually sew up as many boning channels as you want. You can create as many as you want. But for this tutorial purpose, because I'm not making this clothes for anybody, I'm just doing it for tutorial purpose. So I wouldn't be creating so much boning channel on our fabric. What I'll be doing is just the center front and the parts where we have our seam lines. So go ahead and create as many boning channels as you want on your main fabric. The more the boning channel, the more structure your corset would have. So I'm almost done with the bones. This is the last one I'll be doing on the main fabric for now, because we are still going to place another one at the side. So the next thing I would do is to pin down my main fabric to my lining fabric. So this is what you see me doing there at the top part. I'll go ahead and pin down my main fabric to my lining, and then I will sew through. So I'll sew through the half-inch allowance that was added to the top part of this corset. So I will sew it through like so. Yeah, keep sewing, and then till I get to the end, to the other side rather. So once I'm done with that, I would also sew up the armhole parts, and that is what you see me doing here. I'm closing up the armhole, and this is it. So after sewing, this is what it looks like inside. Then the next thing we'll do now is to sew up our back patterns. So I have my mid back, my center back, and my side back. I'll match up all the patterns together and then sew through um, the patterns. So the same way I go about joining this main fabric together is the same way I would also join the linings together. So please, if you have taken time to watch to this very minute, kindly hit on the subscribe button. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with your friends, and also turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload a new tutorial. So the next thing I will do now is to sew my bones on my lining fabric for the back. I've sewn up my lining and the main fabric. So I'll go ahead now on the dart lines that I created for the back. I'll sew up my bones like so. You can also sew your bonings on the main fabric for the back, just the same way we did for the front. You can create as much bonings channel as possible that you want for the back. So feel free to do that on your main fabric. But for this tutorial, I'll just be sewing my bonings on the lining. I'll be sewing it on the lining. So I'm done with the dart lines. The next thing I will sew for the center back. This is just to help the lacing bar for stability purpose. So you need to sew up the regling bones on the center back. So I'm sewing up for that of the center back now, and this is what I'm doing. Take your 1 inch from the from the boning on the center back, measure 1 inch, and then place the next one and sew through like so. So sew up your boning, sew, and don't get tired of attaching your bonings to your corset. Like I said earlier, the more the bones, the more structure your corset would have. Yeah. So bonings give structure to your corset. So I'll sew up the third one for the lacing back area. Once I'm done with that, I will sew the last boning for this corset, for the back pattern rather. So yeah, the next one is the last one, and this will be attached at the top part, the top of the back pattern. So after the bonings have been sewn on the center back and on the front patterns, the next thing I will do now is to iron my hemming gum, attaching the fabric to the attaching the lining to the main fabric. Let me take that again. The next thing I would do, I would use my hemming gum around my bust cage area, attaching the main fabric to the lining. So this will make them stick together as one, and you wouldn't have any form of shifts here or there on that part. This hemming gum will only be attached to the bust cage part, not the other parts of the bodies, just only the parts we added the fiber to. And please note that the hemming gum will not get to the side front, just the area we have the bust cage. Remember that the wording didn't get to the side front, our bust caging did not get to the side front. so also this hemming gum will not get to the side front. So we'll go ahead now and press our fabric. Yes, you need to give this a very good press. Attach your main fabric to your lining fabric and press it properly. And this is what I have after pressing. And the next thing I would do now is to sew up my sides. That's the back and the front together. I'll sew up my sides. So for my sides, I will join the fabrics together, lining to lining and the main fabric to the main fabric, front and back. So the first thing was to match up my armhole area. Yes, I went ahead to match up the seams together. So once I did that, I pinned down at that point. Then I also went ahead to pin down my main fabric together. That's the front and the back together. And then I sew through the side. I sew through the sides together. That's just the way you're seeing it. And once I'm done sewing the sides, I'll flip it to the other side of the lining and also sew it through. So now I'm done joining the front and the back together, and the next thing I will do is to pin down my fabric together. That's the side. I'll pin it down, and I would go ahead and fix my regly bones. I've wrapped the regly bones, so I'll turn that down, and then just look at the way I flip that, and then I'll place it on that part. Yeah, and sew through my bones. Yes, so this last regling bones, we actually hold the fabric together with the lining. Remember that first we used our hemming gum to hold the fabric together. That's the lining and the main fabric together at the bust area. So now we are also using this regling bones. Apart from giving the corset its own structure, it will also hold it down together, the main fabric and the lining fabric. So I've gone ahead now to sew through from the top to the bottom of this corset. And this is what we have after sewing up the regling bones on the side. So next, and the final thing, I'll go ahead now and pipe my corset at the hem. Yes, I went ahead to cut out 2.5 inches for the strip that was used to pipe the corset at the hem. So I went ahead and sewed through from one end to the other end of the corset blouse, and this is exactly what you're seeing on your screen. So I'll turn it also, once I'm done with this part, turn it to the other side and also sew through like so. So once we are done with this part, I'll go ahead and fix my eyelet on the center back, and then I'll show us what the final look is. Yes, and this is what we have on the final note. Yes, this is the result at the end of the day. So thank you for taking your time to watch this tutorial. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.